Good morning to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our tropical weather outlook video for today, Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. Tropical Storm Erick has now formed in the Eastern Pacific, and with that, hurricane watches have been issued for Mexico. Things are now starting to get serious, and Erick might be a pretty serious storm here for Mexico in the coming days. So let's start off by giving you the latest information of Tropical Storm Erick this morning. Current maximum sustained winds are 40 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 1,005 millibars, and it is located, if you're tracking it on a map, at 12.1 north and 93.8 west, and it is moving west-northwest at 12 miles per hour, and this is going to be moving west-northwest straight into the Mexican coastline. And I should also tell you that Erick is the earliest fifth named storm on record for the Eastern Pacific Basin. So a little bit of an interesting fact for you, just to show how active the Eastern Pacific Basin has been over the past several weeks. And now that's going to manifest in not only an active start, but potentially a pretty impactful one with Erick. And I'll show you why in just a moment. But it looks like Erick will become a hurricane. And the potential is there for it to become even stronger than that as it heads towards the Mexican coastline. So let's give you the latest satellite loop and show you how Erick is doing this morning. Definitely a lot better than yesterday when I left you off. This was an invest, and then shortly after it became a potential tropical cyclone. And now this morning you could definitely see why it has been designated. It looks much, much better off. We have convection right over the center of circulation, which is somewhere right in here. And it generally just looks like a tropical cyclone now. And you could even see we kind of have some outflow with this system. And that situation is going to remain pretty much from now till it reaches the Mexican coast. So the sky is the limit for Erick. And it certainly looks like a developing tropical storm right now. And this is going to ramp up very quickly over the next several days. And I'll show you here on the latest microwave shot. And you can even see it does have a partial core developing. So it is organizing quickly already. Sorry, the microwave shot is not in full image. Sometimes these satellites don't hit directly on a system. But bottom line is that this is already organizing. And believe me, once this fully develops an inner core, this will ramp up quickly. Conditions are very favorable for Erick ahead of it for the next 2 or 3 days. And you might say that 2 or 3 days is too little of time for this to really rapidly intensify and become maybe a major hurricane. To that I say, believe me, it is more than enough time for this to rapidly intensify and become a major. In fact, a lot of the hurricane models indicate that this might even become a major hurricane. I think even the GFS kind of hints at this intensifying quick enough that this might even become a major hurricane. So a lot of the models are showing that this has very high potential, and it does. It has very warm sea surface temperatures ahead of it, very nice uperosion heat content, and virtually no wind shear in its path. And I'll show you all those factors in just a moment. But give everything I just said. Obviously, this is expected to become a hurricane, no matter what. In fact, the National Hurricane Center forecasts that this will be a Category 2 hurricane. And as I said yesterday, plan for a category higher. And in this case, I would say plan for potentially 2 categories higher, because the National Hurricane Center forecasts 100 miles per hour. But it is below the consensus of what a lot of the hurricane models show. So if you're along the Mexican coast, especially here in southeastern Mexico, start preparing now. In fact, hurricane watches are already in effect. And really quickly, let me just read out to you where the hurricane watches are in effect for. And let me quickly bring that up on my phone because I don't want to switch the map here. I just want to show you. So a hurricane watch right now, which is this area right here, is in effect for Bahías de Huatulco to Punta Maldonado. And then we have a tropical storm watch east of Bahías de Huatulco to Salina Cruz. I tried my best with those town names. Hopefully I did well, but if you are in these areas, hurricane and tropical storm watches are in effect for you right now. So what does that mean? Start getting your hurricane plans ready right now. Start thinking about evacuation if you are along the coast, if you are potentially a tourist, especially if you're from the United States and you are vacationing right now in Mexico. I suggest start making plans to head out very soon within the next day or so, as this will be coming. The National Hurricane Center right now expecting a landfall Thursday morning. Well, it actually gets to the coast by early Thursday afternoon. So if you are along the Mexican coast right now, there are hurricane watches and tropical storm watches in effect. So start preparing right now. Start making plans to exit the coast and head inland right now, even though there will be impacts inland of Mexico. This is not going to just be something that'll be something we experience right along the coast. There will be heavy rainfall up to a foot in some areas that extend inland of the coast, and I'll go over that later today in the evening because we're not going to be doing just this morning update. We're going to do an evening update as well. But start preparing now because there are watches in effect and probably will soon get upgraded to warnings here in the coming hours. Here's the 850 millibar vorticity map. This kind of shows what the energy with this system, or how the energy looks like in the system. And you can see with Erick, very nice and rounded and bundled compared to yesterday when it was not a tropical storm yet. So Erick has organized quite a bit over the last several hours, and believe me, it's going to continue to organize and probably begin to ramp up very quickly here very soon. And one reason why, as I said before, this will have virtually no wind shear in its path. In fact, you have to really look at the bottom left of the screen because this map generally shows not just the Pacific, or it only shows a small segment of the Pacific, but it generally shows most of the Atlantic, which for now is unfavorable, so we don't have to worry about development in the Atlantic for right now. And I'm not even going to talk about the Atlantic because we have serious matter here in the Eastern Pacific. But right down here in the Southeastern Pacific, and this is generally where Erick is, you can see we have greens, and in this map for wind shear, green means go. So this will have favorable wind shear. So wind shear will not be a problem for it. Sea surface temperatures as well. Very, very warm. In fact, pretty much in its entire path, it has sea surface temperatures around 29 to 30 degrees Celsius waiting for it. In fact, here right near the Gulf of Tehuantepec, there's even a speck of 31 Celsius. So this will have very warm sea surface temperatures, very low wind shear, and a pretty good deal amount of upper ocean heat content. And that's a map that I wanted to bring up yesterday, but I didn't. But I'm bringing it up this morning, so let's look at it now. And pretty much in its path here in the Southeastern Pacific, it has decent amounts of upper ocean heat content. In fact, some of these values here seem to get closer towards the middle end of the scale. And so that means that there's a lot of energy in the ocean. So not only are the water temperatures warm, 29 to 30 degrees Celsius, as I just showed you, but there's also a lot of energy below the surface, meaning that those water temperatures extend deep into the surface. And believe me, especially with the small system that Erick is going to be, this is more than enough upper ocean heat content for this to rapidly intensify and have ample amounts of energy to really just hit sky high. The sky's the limit with Erick, and I'll show you. The hurricane models certainly show that. And this will definitely ramp up very quickly. All of the factors are there, and a good way to sum it up is the ship's diagnostics. And I know this map, this graph here might look a little confusing, but this is the ship's diagnostics for Erick. So this gives data specifically on Erick. So we're not just looking at the global models, which shows the general pattern for the basin, and then we have to look at where Erick directly is. This is data specifically on Erick and where it will be, and what conditions look like in its path. And two things I want to bring to your attention, or I think maybe three things, but two things: shear, which is right here, and by the way, this is the time frame up here, this first map. So this extends out to 96 hours, which by then it's probably already going to make landfall. But shear, the entire time, look at these values: 5, 3, 4, 9. The highest value is 12. Shear never gets pretty much above 10 to 12 knots with Erick, so definitely don't have to worry about it having strong wind shear affecting it, because it won't. The shear will be very low. In fact, it even gets as low as 2 knots, so virtually no wind shear. And this other part right here, 700 to 500 millibar relative humidity, so pretty much how much moisture is in the atmosphere. The entire time values are in the 80s, meaning lots of moisture and lots of heat in the atmosphere that this will be able to take advantage of to probably develop and blossom. So pretty much we probably won't have to worry about dry air intrusions affecting this, although maybe we could have one, and that would probably significantly harm it because this will be a small storm. But overall, atmospherically, it looks favorable for this storm. What can I say? And this is probably going to ramp up very quickly. And then I want to bring you down here to one more thing that is very eye-popping, and this is the ship's probability for rapid intensification. So the probability that this will rapidly intensify, and this breaks this down by how much this will rapidly intensify in a certain given time. And the one I want to bring your attention to is these bottom two right here. So ship's probability of rapid intensification for 55 knots in 48 hours. So this will rapidly intensify 55 knots or 65 miles per hour in the next 48 hours. Ships indicates that the potential for that is 60%. 60%, and that is 10 times the climatological mean. So that means that this has a much above normal chance of potentially rapidly intensifying 65 miles per hour, 10 times the climatological mean, meaning above the chances times 10 that this could rapidly intensify 65 miles per hour or 65 miles in 48 hours. And that would pretty much bring it to major hurricane strength, or very close to it. And certainly this one right here, 65 knots in 72 hours. So just doing math really quickly, that is major hurricane intensity. So this one actually is major hurricane intensity. And the chance they give that is 54%, and that's 11 times the climatological mean. So bottom line, this has a lot of potential, and Erick may very well become a major hurricane, and that is obviously a very big problem for Mexico. And as I said yesterday, this will not be like the past few storms we've had in the Eastern Pacific that were weak and short-lasting and only were tropical storms that were broad and sloppy. Erick is not going to be that. It's going to be a pretty impactful system, to Mexico. And I'm going to show you here with the global models, the GFS. I'm not going to show you the vorticity because I want to show you the low pressure reading on the GFS just to show you how quickly this intensifies. This goes from 24 hours from now, the GFS indicates this will be 997 millibars, to by hour 60, so this is Thursday, even before then, 967 millibars. So from hour 30, so in just a matter of 24 hours, we go from 989 millibars to hour 54. So from tomorrow morning to Thursday morning, we go from 989 to 967 millibars on the GFS. And that is a global model. This is the GFS. And I say that because global models tend to not really do that well with rapid intensification, and especially small systems like Erick is here. But the fact that the GFS is showing this intensify pretty quickly, that is very serious. And it only gets more crazy when you look at the hurricane models, and I'm not going to go through all of them now. I'll probably go through all of them this afternoon or this evening around 5 or 6 o'clock Eastern time. But here's the H-WRF for Erick, and this brings it, I mean, already 24 hours from now, they show this as a hurricane, and then 48 hours from now, they show this as a major hurricane. In fact, the H-WRF shows this getting to as low as around 952 millibars. And yeah, at 48 hours, I think they show a little bit of an offset from the peak of the pressure to the peak of the winds. But the H-WRF shows this becoming a major hurricane. And then it kind of weakens a little bit, which we hope that it does that as it approaches Mexico. But if the H-WRF is showing this becoming a major hurricane, I would pay attention, because this is an actual hurricane model. This is not a global model, which, is not specifically for forecasting hurricanes. These hurricane models actually have data specifically to forecasting and predicting intensity and factors within a hurricane, which is why we use them specifically, especially in times like this. And the fact that it shows us becoming a major hurricane, and the fact that the National Hurricane Center too, they don't forecast this becoming a major hurricane now, but they say Category 2. And especially, I've tracked situations like this before when we have very quick intensification. In these situations, the storm is at least, or tends to be at least, a category higher, sometimes even 2, than the National Hurricane Center forecast. So we're going to have a lot to talk about over the next 2 days here for Erick. And because of that, I'm wrapping up for now, but I'm going to have another video discussion this evening, since this looks like it could be a pretty significant thing for Mexico. So if you like what you saw today, again, I'm wrapping up here for now, but if you like what you saw today, if you found this video informative, I would really appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe to this video. And if you have not already, turn on the notification bell so you can get videos the moment I upload them. And I'm not just going to be doing videos here over the next several days. We're probably going to be doing live streams too. And we'll probably start doing them tomorrow, as Erick will probably by then be very quickly wrapping up. But that does it for now. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys again later on, so stay tuned for that. Peace, love, and kindness to you all. Stay safe out there. Please watch Erick very closely.